In this video, I'm going to show you the difference between two cam bridge tools for timing for the BMW S54 engine. One is the factory BMW tool from Dr. Vanos. This tool, I think I paid $180 for, and you kind of rent it and you send it back, and I think he refunds you $150. So, or you could keep it, cost us $180. If you want to just buy it outright, it's cheaper other places, but I didn't really want to buy it. So anyway, it came new. The BMW bag actually had a little hole in it, but it appears to be new. The original cam bridge I got from Dr. Vanos was brand new. It was sealed in the bag with no holes, and oddly enough, the pin here was stuck in the bridge. No matter what I did, I could not get the pin to move. And I didn't use any tools. I pulled on it so hard and twisted it that I actually pulled the plastic cap off, and the pin was still stuck in here. So I don't know what happened to it. It didn't look damaged or hit. I don't know if it sat and something got on it and it corroded in there. It didn't look like it, or there was something in there, but obviously I couldn't use that tool, and they sent me out a new one like right away. Boom, within an hour of letting them know. So Dr. Vanos, I recommend dealing with them. So far, they seem great. This set is $65 from Amazon. And what you get is a cam bridge tool to set the cam timing, 2 pins, you only need one. Spacers for the Vanos, if you want to use them. I plan on using them. Most people don't. They just eyeball it or use some type of measuring device. Get this checker tool, which you don't really need. You can use this for both checking and setting. This is for e46 M3. I think some of them you needed this special socket to turn the crank. I have a Z4M, so mine is just a big, I think it's a 36 or 32 millimeter socket. Crank pin tool, and this little tool here is actually to turn the hubs. You don't need it, you can turn it by hand, but BMW does have a tool like this. Anyway, first off, let's look at the slot and the pins, the play. There's some slop there. It's not awful, but it's there. It's a BMW one. It's very little slop. I mean, there's hardly any play at all. It's a much more precise feeling fit. So on that, I go with BMW. All right, let's put it on the engine and see what it does. So, E goes to intake, A goes to exhaust. I've set this engine top dead center, cam lobes pointing 45 degrees towards each other. And it's locked with the crank locking pin. All right, so intake, nice and smooth. Exhaust, nice and smooth. Now let's look at the head to see if it's flush. Completely flush. Let's make it better. There you go. Completely flush. I mean, it feels like it was meant to be here. It's just a good fit. No jiggle, nothing. It's just how it feels like it's how it should be. Now, let's try the aftermarket tool. Same thing, E goes to exhaust, E goes to intake. You would think it would go to exhaust, but it's abbreviation for the German word, I believe. All right, so cams on the head, cam bridges on the head. Let's try the pins. Close. Oh, you can kind of force it in, see? That's not the way to do it. The way to do it is like this. You lift the bridge, put it down. Now, let's check the gap between the tool and the head. Wiggling it around, you can see there's a big gap. That's on the exhaust side. On the intake side, there's still a gap, much less. But if you're going after perfection, this tool is not going to give you the results the BMW tool is. Let's try it on the exhaust side. All right. It'll go in. I have to kind of like wiggle it. It's tight. Again, the right way to do it though is to lift it and drop it. All right, let's see. There's no play. The intake side, not raised off the head. The exhaust side, it's raised off the head. I don't know how much that is, but it's definitely enough to get the, thickest feeler gauge in there that comes with a set of feeler gauges. Now this thing, you can wiggle it around, kind of get it better. Now it's almost flat on the head. There's still some play, which interestingly enough, there's play in the back of it. Now, I don't know if you can see it, but it's raised off the head. And it may actually be hitting the retaining clip for the rocker arms. You can see there's not a, right there. It seems like it's just almost touching that. All right. So this tool, and it's not smooth. It's just not a precision tool. I mean, it'll get you close. It just depends how picky you are. I think if you use it, I don't think your valves are going to hit your pistons, but stack tolerances could possibly cause an issue. Maybe. Some people said they had issues with it. Now this is a checker tool, timing checker tool. You don't need this. I don't even know why BMW made this. I guess maybe a way to check it real quick when they assemble the engines. I don't know. There's nothing to fall out. The pin's stuck in here. So you just pick it up. You don't drop anything in the engine, where I guess in theory, the pin could somehow, depending on the state of the engine, come just dislodge from the bridge and fall in somewhere. But they give it to you, so let's check it out. Now with this, you're going to see when I put it on the exhaust side, it just doesn't want to go down. I mean, it's way off the head, right? And what it's doing is it's actually hitting the rocker arm retainers here. See, you can kind of like fudge it to get by there, but it's hitting them. And this side, the exhaust side's way off front. There's plenty of room. But if you notice, even when you push it to try and get it down, it's still not as accurate. It's still not accurate. There's still a gap here. Now, if you mess around with it, you can push it down and kind of get rid of the gap. So I'd say for the exhaust side, out of the two tools, this is the most accurate, but it hits the retainer arms for the rockers. Right here. It's laying on those. Let's try. Kind of binds. Let's try the intake side. All right. Let's see if we can wiggle it down. Now, this side doesn't hit the retainers for the rockers, but on this side, it does. Same thing, look. See it moving? If you jiggle it, wiggle it. No, I can't get it. Let's see if I can get it down anymore. Yeah, I really can't without forcing it. And there's a huge gap with the head, right? Way too much. This tool, in my opinion, is completely useless. This is way too sloppy. So for $65, you get the spacers. I measured these. These are 3mm, which I think is correct. So they're useful. Get the socket, which can be useful if you have an e46 M3. 2 pins, you don't need that. Not useful. You're not supposed to use 2 pins at once. This tool, it's trash. Crankshaft locking pin, useful. I measured this against another aftermarket one. It's the same, 7mm at the tip. This is a tool to turn the hub. You don't need this tool. I think BMW has a tool like this, and what you're supposed to do, I'll show you, is I think it goes in here like this. Let me see if I can get it. Yeah. But you know, if the hub's loose, you just turn with your hand. I wouldn't put any stress on this, but I guess you could kind of use it, but it's not necessary. But this cam bridge, would not recommend at all. This cam bridge will get you close. I wouldn't recommend it. Likely you'll be fine, but who knows? You don't want to do it again. This cam bridge, BMW one, I'd recommend. And if you want to rent it, which makes sense, you know, you're not going to be doing this most likely over and over again. Recommend Dr. Vanos. As far as I know, they seem to be one of the few, if only, people that rent it for 30 bucks. Yeah, so that's where we're at. Use the BMW tool. All right.